My name is Roy Carter. Commissioner Youngman and Mr. Skirpan, thank you so much for letting us have the opportunity to express our views. I want to mention something that someone previously had mentioned. The gentleman was talking about the towers and how it didn't affect Virginia Beach and how there's a restaurant under the tower. It didn't affect Pamlico Sound going to the Outer Banks. When people go to the beach, they're going for the ocean. And they know that there is a lot of commercialization there. Going to Virginia Beach is just like going to a major city. Huge population. Same thing with the Outer Banks. When they come here, they're going for the natural beauty that we have. And towers would definitely obstruct that natural beauty. I am a member of the Economic Development Authority I'm a board member for the County of Lancaster. And I'm not here talking officially on their behalf. Now today, I guess you probably came from Richmond. And coming from Richmond here, you may not have realized that you passed over a dozen bridges. You may have passed over 95, Saco Valley Bridge, you passed over roads and small creeks. And the first two bridges that you may have taken note of were probably at West Point, going over the Rappahannock and the Kilmarnock River, because you're going over a larger body of water. But you also may have noticed on that trip that there's a huge industrial complex right there. Once you passed over one bridge, you probably put the windows up on the car, because that huge industrial complex takes away from the natural beauty that they would have had. West Point would be a much more thriving town, even though they wouldn't have the employment opportunities. But they would be much more thriving because the confluence of those two rivers forming New York could be a beautiful, beautiful area. But there's huge distraction. And then as you got a little bit further along, you notice all of a sudden there are cornfields and soybeans and natural beauty. You go through Saluda on the way to either Urbana or Deltaville, but you're coming here, you turn up Route 3. And maybe one of the first things you noticed was Harmony Road, which is where the power station is, and they just enlarged that tremendously, Dominion has. And then you notice huge hulking towers, rusty 60-foot towers, all along the road, all the way to our bridge. I'm sure Middlesex County supervisors wish they had the other opportunity to have those towers hidden and go off the road. But once you hit our bridge, within 20 seconds of getting onto our bridge, you have a completely unobstructed view looking east to Stingray Point, to Mosquito Point, to the Chesapeake Bay. Looking west, you have a completely unobstructed view to Carter's Creek, the Cartone, Urbana. It's a beautiful view, and it's what brings people here. Now, some people have said, Lancaster was established in 1651. We have over 320 miles of shoreline, natural marshes that are beautiful, that have bird sanctuaries. We've got creeks and rivers, we've got the bay, and that's what brings people here. It's the natural beauty that we have. Now, why did I go through all of this? Well, first of all, I was in Richmond. I started a business in my garage in 1972. And in 1973, I became a bricks and mortar retailer. So I was always a small business person. Fortunately, the business thrived. I had very good employees and very proud of those people. I sold the business in 2008. But because of the success of the business, we were a very small business, like so many other businesses here. Because of the success of the business, we were in the top 3% of our industry in the country, and that was in Richmond. So I was asked by national retail associations to give seminars at their national conventions all over the country. I spoke on the West Coast, New York, Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago, LA, Portland. And it was how to bring business to your business. And the same principles that apply are how to bring business or people to our territory, our area, our community. I did a lot of study because I knew what had made us successful was attention to detail. But I had to do a lot of study to find out what other people had done to bring businesses to their business. I read the big guys, the Stanley Marcus, Minding the Store, Neiman Marcus. I read Saks, Nordstrom's. I read all the small guys. And there was a common thread throughout every single thing that I read. And that common thread was the first impressions. We've all heard that first impressions are lasting. But that common thread was every single business. The first impression you have is the most lasting. The first impression you all may have had coming over that bridge today after the first 20 seconds was some smaller, much, much smaller wooden towers, was the natural beauty that we had. Right after you exited the bridge, you came off the bridge and again saw fields. Then you went to Whitestone, and again you saw corn, you saw soybean, you saw natural beauty all the way up here. Now, how does that affect our economic development? We talked about tourism and the natural beauty that brings people here. This is a community profile. It was updated just yesterday. This is from the Virginia Employment Commission, and I will leave copies with you. This shows the unemployment statistics for the county of Lancaster. And in this, you can see it shows the U.S. unemployment, Virginia unemployment, and then Lancaster unemployment. There's a big flip there. That flip is in the off months when we don't have tourism. I went out 30 years, but I'm only going to bore you with 5 years because it only takes a second. That same flip, that same unemployment, looks almost like an EKG. You can almost say it's the heartbeat of what we have. Our unemployment figures are twice the Virginia average in the months of November, December, January, February, because we don't have the tourism. Tourism is crucial to our business, and the reason people come is for the natural beauty. I also pull up the 50 largest employers in Lancaster County. We have less than 480 businesses in Lancaster County, employers, I should say, in Lancaster County. And 80% of them have less than 9 employees. But the largest employers, of course, we have the hospital and the school board. And then number 3, the second largest employer is Rappahannock, Westminster, Canterbury, a retirement community. Many people come from all over to go to Westminster, Canterbury, in this area, specifically to get away from the city, to get away from concrete, steel, industrialization. The 5th largest employer is the Times Inn. Obviously, they depend on tourism greatly. I'd like to tell you a little bit about a job that I did about 10 years ago that involved the Times Inn. I was in Richmond and a client said, "Roy, can you come and hang some artwork?" I'm like, "Oh, I will have it at the Times Inn. It will be there over the 4th of July holiday." I install artwork for a living, that's what I do. So I said, "Sure, I'd be happy to." He said, "Well, remember the names so that when you go down, you can look at the back of the boats and names and pick out the boat." Well, I went to the Tides, and as I was walking down the dock, I was looking at some really beautiful boats, but I didn't see his anywhere. I got out to the end. It was a very large boat, and I went around to the back, and sure enough, it was his boat. It's 110 feet. It was almost as big as the Miss Anne, the boat that they used to have. Now that boat is registered in Longboat Key, Florida. That's the kind of person that we get occasionally to our area. A lot of money, and they will spend a lot of money in our local economy. The other boats that were there were from all over. Now they didn't go to Annapolis. They didn't go to other places. They came up the Rappahannock because we have that natural beauty. And if we put those huge industrial towers there in front of that bridge, they may think elsewise. They may go other places. It's going to harm our economy. Now, someone mentioned Virginia Living magazine, and I have one of the latest copies of Virginia Living magazine. It's the best of. And you'll notice, and we'll leave this with you also, there's a 2-page advertisement for Lancaster County. Now, the best of has the whole eastern seaboard from the Potomac all the way down to Virginia Beach and all the way down to North Carolina line. That includes Virginia Beach and Norfolk and Hampton Roads and Williamsburg and everything. of 96 categories that they had best of, Lancaster County got 39 best of. For dining, most of these, a lot of these are for tourist-related industry. We rely on it. It's a driving force. When you also came over the bridge, if you look right to the right, the other day, I was really thrilled. I came over the bridge and I saw dolphin problem underneath the bridge, or right near the bridge. If you come over in October or November, just to your right as you enter the bridge, you're going to see probably 25 to 35 oyster boats out there, people dredging for oysters. It's a big, big oyster business for us. And oysters are coming back strong. They mean a lot to our economy. Now the oyster trail, I think the governor came down and has designated the oyster trail for us, helped designate it for us. We have the artisan trail, we have the wine trail. We just started all these initiatives to get more people here and help the state of Virginia in the tourism industry by having us. Now, if you were leaving and it was still light and you go back over the bridge, back towards Middlesex County, if you look at, when you get to the peak of the bridge, if you look at about 10:30 or 11 o'clock, you see the entrance to where Merwa is. I don't know if you've heard of Merwa, but it's a restaurant. It started as an oyster tasting room years ago. It's become very famous, an oyster tasting room. The Croxton boys that have the oysters there, their oysters are now featured in some of the top restaurants in this country. They also started the Rappahannock restaurant in Richmond. They've been very successful. And that was because of the oysters. And if you go to the restaurant now, you probably have to wait in line. A lot of outdoor seating right on the water. It's absolutely beautiful, and that's why people come here. So what's the takeaway from all of this and what I said is first impressions. They're lasting. First impressions mean a lot to people. And the first impression is industrial, huge towers, taller than a bridge, largest structure in the northern neck. The crossbars on those H-pattern industrial structures that they're going to put up is wider than the bridge. I mean, these are huge, massive things. Don't let it happen. It shouldn't happen. When I went to the informational for Dominion, they said, the project manager said, going underneath horizontal drilling, the cost to us as individuals would be no more than 5 cents a month. No more. Now, I don't know what the cost would be. The increase in cost would be if they went over. It might be a penny and a half or two. So we're talking pennies. That's all we're talking about. A cup of coffee at 7-Eleven every 3 years. That's what the extra cost would be. And our rates have just gone down too. So please take all that into consideration, that our economy is driven by tourism. And if we hurt that tourism, we hurt the whole state of Virginia.